Okay, we're back. And today we're going to talk about a sale that's coming up. Yesterday we talked about the Sotheby's results for the Okada collection, which did very well. And I noticed somebody in the comments said, yeah, it's very expensive stuff and it's interesting, but I like to look at things that are more in the price range that, that the average collector works on, I guess is what he was trying to say. And this is a good sale for that. The Freeman sale coming up on December 16th at 10 o'clock in the morning in Philadelphia. It's a fairly diverse sale. There's a lot of interesting material in there and a lot of things in there in the more reasonable price ranges. We'll say things typically under $10,000 for the most part, but it's their end of the year sale. And as I've said before, December, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, there are some awfully good buys out there. In the auction market, typically, some things will of course do very, very, very well, but other sales, other things in auctions, they can sort of slip through the cracks and get a little squishy. So if you're looking for something to buy yourself at the end of the year, maybe an early Christmas gift, or maybe somebody in your family, your wife or your husband or one of your kids collects, this is a chance to buy something, something for them, maybe for Christmas. Who knows? Or for New Year's or whatever. Any rate, this is the sale, and as you can see, they've got this nice white jade piece on here. It appears to be it's a sort of a cover image they're using. It looks like an early 20th century carving, very good quality, that sort of thing. It's estimated at I think $3,000 to $5,000, and that's the kind of thing you're going to find in this auction. But there's also some really interesting, rather unusual pieces as well. And you'll notice there's some good Tang pieces. There's a very nice Tang horse in here that I like quite a bit, and it's one of these sort of rusticated surfaces with some old paint on it. It looks fine as a Tang horse, and as you know, Tang pieces have been very, very inexpensive for the last about 25 years because all of the interest was in imperial porcelains and Sung pieces and Yuan pieces and Ming pieces, and the earlier stuff in many areas got very, very reasonable in price. This is estimated at $1,000 to $2,000. It came from a collection. Let's see, it was imported, private collection acquired for C.W. Smith, imported an antique dealer in Minnesota in around 2006. It doesn't say where he got it, but it measures about 15 inches tall. It's a nice looking figure, very statuesque, so to speak, good surface. Looks absolutely authentic from what I'm seeing, and something to think about. All right, and then the next thing coming up is this. There's a very nice big Tianchu Ping, and this is a late Qing, early Republic example, but it's beautifully done. And lately, there's been a lot of interest in these in the market. This one is particularly well decorated. I will say that. The tightness of the drawing is quite exceptional, actually, on this figure. If you look at the wave pattern that repeats, and here you have the dragon, very, very finely detailed all over it. Here's a picture of the bottom of it, and that's a late Qing to early Republic foot rim. It's got some serious wear to it, and the color of the paste and so forth is very, very typical of that period. The last 20 years of the Qing dynasty to the early period of the early Republic years. If I were dating it, I would say it's probably just a late Qing piece. I don't think that it's necessarily. I'd say it's probably 70% more likely to be Qing than Republic. Ben sort of leaves it to your own, what you want to think the age of it is on this one. He didn't give a date really, but that's what it is. That's what it is. If you want to know more, call them up and ask them what they think. They'll tell you. They're very open to that. And there's also a page, there's also a link off of every listing on this site. I am looking at Live Auctioneers, but on their own site, they have it also. There's a link down here, and there's uploaded a whole bunch of other images of these pieces. So if you want to see them in different light and so forth, they have examples of other photographs that they've taken. So you can use those. This one has a starting price of $1,300. It's got a $2,500 to $3,500 estimate. And I will tell you though that lately we've seen some of these late Qing Republic Tianchu Pings bring 10 to 15,000. So that is possible. It's very possible, but this one is I know it's rather elegant looking as far as I'm concerned. I think it's terrific. And then hopping along over to this, a nice looking stoneware vessel, glazed Celadon bowl, probably Southern Sung period. It's a cup, but it's got a nice surface on it. Beautiful, beautiful thick glaze. Here's the interior. It looks fine from what I can see. There's the bottom of it. It's got signs of legitimate age here around the foot where it's darkened out a bit from being on surfaces. That takes a while to do. That doesn't happen quickly. It's estimated at $1,000 to $1,500, $500 opening bid. It should do that. It should do better than that. It should bring $2,000 or $3,000 anyway. But we'll see. We'll come back and revisit and see how the sale goes. But if you like early stonewares, early glazes, this is a nice example, I think. And then over here, there are two lots in this sale. They're very interesting. And they could have broken them up, I suppose, and sold them separately, but they grouped them together. Late Ming, early Qing bronzes. And here you have these gu form vases and so forth. Very nice patinas on these. If you're a patina nut, if you like good patinas, this is a good looking assortment here. And they're fairly good size. The tallest piece is 10 inches tall. The one to the left is probably around 7, but it's a nice lot, and the estimate's very, very reasonable. I think it's under the money, frankly. The estimate is just $1,000 to $1,500, and I wouldn't be surprised if this lot brought $2,000 to $3,000, $2,500 to $3,500, but it could go for less. If it goes for under $2,500, it's a bargain because each one of these should be worth around $800 or so, $700 or $800 anyway. The one in the middle is quite striking. And then the next lot is this. There's 4 of them in this one, and these are the sort of the squared form gu vases, all very, very nice. The one in the middle is very striking. It's quite dramatic in its form at the top, and there's a very nice narrow waist in the middle. It's beautifully cast. It's a very very nice example. And again, late Ming to early Qing to 18th century, 17th, early 17th to mid 18th century, I would guess on these. And this lot is also estimated $1,000 to $1,500. And as I said, on the other lot, each one of these in the retail market these days, they're selling them at, at auction individually on eBay or wherever you're selling them. They bring 700, 600, 800, 900, somewhere in that range. So if you do the math on it, it comes out to a good bit above 1,500 for a high estimate. But you may get it for that. This is the kind of sale you leave bids. Go through and carpet bomb this sale with bids because there are many items in this sale that are in a fairly reasonable price range. And if you just leave some bids, you never know what you're going to get. There are also a number of very nice rock crystal carvings in this sale. These are typically early 20th century. This is a very, very nice one. And it's got beautiful detail. There's a shishi lion in the front, a fu lion standing in front of a vase. Very high quality rock crystal. Very clean, very clear. Appears to be in good condition. You want to always get condition reports on rock crystal because they are often damaged. Or have chips out of them at least because of the nature of the material used. This one looks to be very good, but always get confirmation. It's estimated at $2,000 to $3,000, and the figure measures 5 3/8 inches tall. But as I said, I think there's like 6 or 7 of them in this sale. There's a bunch of them, and you can go through and pick out the ones you like. But they're all very nice actually. They're very attractive. And this is one of those Tang jar that's in the auction with a very nice deep cobalt glaze, amber glaze around the collar, and then these white and brown flowers going around the body. This is a good looking one. Very clean white paste at the bottom, beautifully smoothed out, nicely shaped foot off the base, and looks completely fine. Here's a picture of the bottom, that very, very tight, compact white clay that they used because they really refined their clays on the best examples, and this is a good example of it. It's 5 1/4 inches tall, fairly small, but most of them are. People think of these jars as always, oh, they're big. No, they're not. They typically are quite small, under 10 inches. And this is a nice one, $2,000 to $3,000 estimate with a $1,000 opening bid. But if you've been looking for a good piece of Tang pottery in the form of a jar, that's a nice one. It's a nice example. Very attractive. And then there's this Cizhou iron glazed meiping vase, probably Southern Sung to Jin Dynasty, somewhere in there, but nicely done. And it was bought at Imperial Art in New York. From Husan over there, and he's extremely knowledgeable. He used to be a Christie's guy many years ago. He's a nice guy, actually. I met him when he first opened the business back in the 90s, and he had some nice things. At any rate, this is looks like a perfectly legitimate example. There's a picture of the base on it, and the estimate is 4 to 6,000, which is pretty reasonable for one of these. If you can get it for that estimate, you're doing pretty well. As a $2,000 opening bid, it's 11 and a half inches high. Nice piece of pottery, very attractive. Put that on your list if you're a Sung buyer or a Jin Dynasty buyer. And this, a Ming Longquan Celadon, appears to be probably early 16th century, I would guess. Nicely glazed. Looks good all the way. It's actually quite refined in the potting. It's a very, very refined example from what I can see. There's a lot of iron oxide obviously showing around the bottom. It's got a screen on the top, probably. This might have been in a Japanese collection. They've got that metal screen that they always put on them that look like this. But it's a nice addition. It's a good addition, I think. Looks okay. And this one is estimated at 1,500 to 2,500, but it's a very fine. Look at this. If you like Celadons, look at this one pretty carefully because it has a very, very fine finish on it. And as you know, the Longquan kilns shut down in around 1552. These types of this quality were typically made, a good 50. They stopped making them probably 50 years before the Longquan kilns closed. The quality slid toward the end a bit, as often happens when there's stress on an industry. Their output suffers. We saw it in the Wan Li period. The late Wan Li pieces had, way too much kiln grit on the bottoms and rather crude at times. The early Wan Li pieces were very, very nice. And that's what can happen as periods come to an end of manufacturing. But anyway, this is a nice looking Celadon. And then there's this transitional Cizhou period jar. They're saying possibly 17th century. I don't have any doubt that it is. That's just the auction house being careful so they don't have people coming back saying, well, I thought it was Choson period, it's Shunzi period, now I don't want it. This kind of nonsense. It's 17th century is a great way to do it. Yes, it is 17th century. It's got a nice finish. It's got its lid. Get a condition report. It's got the 100 Boys pattern on it. Very, very nice. And how tall is this one? 16 inches. It's a pretty big pot. And the estimate is very reasonable, 1,000 to 1,500. It should get there all day long. I think it'll probably bring 2,500 to 3,500, but go in and leave some bids on it. You never know. If you've always wanted one of these, that's a good time to start. And then over to this, a Chonzhen period reticulated with one of these open wall, carved wall cups. Here it is. It's got the reticulated wall going to the inside. Very nice cobalt blue. Beautifully done carving on this. This has, I noticed it when I was looking at it earlier, has extremely fine carving on the reticulated areas here. Very, very nice. It's got a tiny, tiny, tiny nick on the rim there. That's about all I could see on it. It looks to be in very good condition. Unglazed bottom, unglazed foot underneath. There's the chip up there. It's a little bigger over there, but that's actually a really easy repair. If you get it, because there's no painting to really do, so you can just get the chip filled. Chip filling is fine; doesn't affect much. $1,000 to $1,500, $500 opening bid, and this bowl measures 3 3/4 inches, almost 4 inches wide. So it's a decent size, but the quality of the carving in the cobalt is very good on it. Quite attractive. And then this is a nifty thing, a monk's bowl, 18th century or earlier. Here's a picture of the bottom of it. You'll notice it has no foot rim. It just has an unglazed rounded disc on the bottom. It's not really a foot, so to speak. And then there's an indentation from the potter's wheel when they did it. But the front of it is fascinating. Here you have it. And you do see some dishes that were done in Famille, I believe it was the Kangxi period. They had similar scenes to this. But this one is quite charming because the faces are all sort of looking toward the middle and looking at one each other. And they all have different expressions on their faces. They all have slight variations to their faces, and they're inside of a building with drapes open, and you can look down on the crowd. Very, very nice. And how big is this bowl? It measures The dimensions are not on there. There it is, 5 7/8 inches. It's a lovely little bowl. It really is. There's a side shot of it. Very nicely done. 18. It is absolutely 18th century, maybe a little older, but it could be late 17th century. But at any rate, it's estimated at $8 to $1,200, which seems fine. $400 starting bid, and that would be a bargain anywhere near that price. And then over to this. This struck me as a very interesting pot. It's a dragon called a dragon and crane vase, late 19th century. We've seen these before with the brown dressing and the dragons and so forth. What's interesting about this is one, its size. It's 23 inches tall. It's a big jar, a big vase, but it's got a white relief of the dragons with a crackle ground, but also white enamel of a red-headed crane coming off of a rock at the bottom. That was perched on a rock, sort of squawking at the dragon as it goes by, chasing the chimera. This is like a mummy or daddy dragon chasing the baby, and the bird is squawking. It's somewhat of an animated scene. I thought it was rather nice. And there's the back of it. And over here you have a tiger up on a rock looking up at what all the activity, probably wondering if he's going to get a meal out of it or something. And so it's just an interesting vase. It's got a story to tell. It's got the bottom with the Ming mark on it that doesn't mean anything. But the vase itself is quite lovely. And it appears to be in good condition. It measures, double check, 22 and not 23, 22 and a quarter inches. So it's nearly 2 feet tall. The estimate is very reasonable, $800 to $1,200 with a $400 starting bid. If you buy these late Qing pieces and you've bought porcelains with this glaze, this surface, this type, I'm going to be willing to bet you haven't seen one with this kind of a scene done in the round on it. Often they did them with Famille rose, they did them in underglazed blue, they did them in Famille vert, and so forth. They did some with just the dragon maybe on it, but with a white enamel relief and the positioning, the way they're displaying the activity on the vase, I think it's really interesting. And then over to this. Now this is dated as 20th century, and I disagree with them on this. I think this is older. I don't think it's a lot older, but I think it's pretty clearly a Qing piece. Now, again, they're very conservative there. Ben is extremely conservative. The department is very conservative when they date things. But the vase, the big moon flask on the left, to me, looks pretty clearly to be a late Qing piece from the Guangxu period. Very nicely done, soft pastel blues and soft pinks and so forth. I like the phoenix in the middle. The yellow is a very good shade of yellow. It's not too bright. It's not that luminescent lemon yellow that's a little shocking to look at. And I love the bats. I love the way the bats are perched on the shoulder. It has a very animated look to it. And there's a picture of the foot rim. And that to me looks very much like a Qing, the bottom of a Qing pot from the 19th century, and the glaze and how it's done and so forth. And then there's the other vase, which has the Daguan mark on it, which is this little one beside it. It's a little mini me here, and it also is quite attractive. And it has this rather nice sort of what is that, aubergine or purplish base enamel on it. But it's a lake scene. It's quite charming. Also very, very nice with chimeras on the shoulders. And the big vase measures 19 inches, and the smaller vase measures well, I don't know. They don't give the second one. Well, if this one is 19, this one is probably just about 8 inches or 9 inches or so in height, somewhere around there, I would guess. But you get both of them, $800 to $1,200 with an opening bid of $400 again. And then this is a rarity. This is if we've seen these before, these tohus, arrow vases. They were done during the Ming Dynasty, the Yuan Dynasty. Nearly always they're done in bronze. Those are the ones that you're used to seeing. This one is done in iron. In the Chinese, and this may be very viable because for some reason Chinese collectors haven't glommed on too much to iron works. Iron was hardly ever used in the Ming Dynasty in art. There have been a few figures. Years ago, I had a standing Buddha figure that was inscribed to a temple that actually came out of a house about a mile and a half from here. It was an artist had a studio and gallery there for many, many years, and he had it in his garden. It was this giant iron figure. It was about 5 feet tall. We ended up going to London, but Ming iron and Yuan iron is quite rare because they didn't use it much. They much preferred bronze. This is an iron tohu. And if you like unusual materials and you like rare types, this is a rare type. They do not turn up very often. If you go looking over at the big auction houses or any auction house, you won't find many of these. They are quite rare. They are quite rare. And I had one actually. I bought it from a very good dealer in Maine. Ross Levette sold me one years ago. He's a very good dealer, excellent, nice guy too. He's fascinating, and he handled all kinds of great stuff. He's still in business today. Anyway, I bought one from him 25 years ago. I think I paid $1,400 or $1,500 for it, as I remember, back in the '90s. But this is a nice one. It's only estimated $1,000 to $1,500. It measures 18 inches tall, so it should sail through that. It should sail through that estimate, but it's a rare type. Again, as I said, and it looks to be in good condition. And remember, iron does not age like bronze. It corrodes more. It has an entirely different surface, but I think it's quite appealing. And then over to this. This is a very nice late 18th century, mid 18th century Immortals box, 8 Immortals box. Did he date it? I don't think he didn't bother to. It looks like an 18th century box to me. It's estimated at $3,000 to $5,000. Beautifully finished. Beautiful surface on this, beautifully polished, very, very nicely done. Nice landscape scene, willow trees, mountains, rocks, all that good stuff. A couple of scholars, 3 scholars strolling through the middle and so forth. Maybe it's the 3 star gods, I'm not sure. Here's the end of it. The lobes are nicely finished all the way through and down. They're proportional, very neatly done. Again, the carving on it is very, very good. There's an image of the bottom. Looks good. I don't see any losses to the lacquer. Very nice looking box, and it measures 14 7/8 inches in diameter. This is a big box. It's very good size. $3,000 to $5,000 estimate. I'm guessing 18th century as far as the age goes. Worth looking at. $1,500 opening bid. And then there's a lot of scrolls in this sale, by the way. There's some very aesthetically extremely attractive scrolls. This was mine. It was done in the manner of Zhao Manfu. It was a Sung painter, but I think it was done later. But I don't think this is modern by any stretch. But I love it's because of the horses. Okay, everybody knows about. I love paintings with horses in them, and other animals too. Goats and sheep and cats and dogs, all kinds of animals. I may recall a year ago I bought that big painting for Mike Rogan that had the shishis all over it, which is now in my son's home in New York. One of my kids in New York got it. I gave it to him. He had a big blank wall that needed a big painting, so I gave it to him. But this is a nice one. Love the horses. I love the attendants. And there's some script on it. There's a colophon at the top. Very, very nice. And estimated at $3,000 to $5,000 with a $1,500 opening bid. And it's probably a late Ming or early Qing painting as far as the age of it goes. I'm just guessing. You have to really look at these things up close, but that's my sense of it anyway. But you can call and ask them how old do they think it is. What are they estimating the age to be? I don't think this is a late 18th or 19th century picture. It's a nice looking scroll. I think it's worth $3,000 to $5,000. It could be Ming too. All right, and then this is a late Qing to early Republic painting. A nice one, though. It's all framed up and ready to go, but very good colors, very classic late Qing painting. And it's 29 by 35 inches is the image size, so it's a big picture. It's 2.5 feet tall, the painting itself, and 3 feet wide, but it's very attractive. I love the pheasants on the rock. The peony blossoms are a very appealing color. The greens, all the colors are very well shaded in. This is a nice painting. It's a very attractive painting. $1,000 to $2,000 to $2,500 estimate. $1,000 opening bid, but extremely attractive. Probably, I'm leaning. I'd be more inclined to say it was probably a late Qing piece done in the 1880s or 90s. They're dating this 20th century, which means they're implying it's anything from 1900 to 1920. But it's splitting hairs when you date these. It really is. It's and they tend to be very conservative. All right, and then over to this. This is great if you like Japanese pieces. This is a Neo Guardian head, the kinds you see on statues outside of houses. This is lacquered wood, And what a composition that is. I love this. It's fairly small. It's only about 6 inches tall or something. I'll check it in a second. But the lacquering and the fierceness and the ferocity of the face is wonderful. And as you know, with these figures, as I've said before, there's always one with his mouth shut, and there's another one with his mouth open. And they put them on big figures on either side of a doorway to keep away evil spirits and evil people. And they're rather terrifying in the dark. I must say, I had a life-size pair of these once, and Christ, you walk into a room with a little bit of light, and you jump when you forget they're there. Anyway, this is a wonderful, wonderful carving. If you like great carvings with lacquer, look into this one. This is awfully attractive. Very, very terrific expression. Very, very animated. It's got an estimate of just $700 to $900, $350 opening bid. They're dating it to the Muromachi period, so it's a very old one. And it's 6 inches tall. 6 inches tall. And it came out of it. There's the name of a collector that it came from. And then over to this, if you're an Arita buyer, check this out. Nice big Arita ovoid jar. It measures, I think, 11 inches tall, as I recall, 11 inches tall, but absolutely aesthetic. Terrific example, and I love the way they paint the people, the way the heads they're like they're wearing baseball caps, the way they depicted them, very different than how the Chinese did them in the same period, same era, but wonderful done. And you have this village floating in the clouds above, and these giant like banana leaf trees on the side. There's the bottom. That's what it should look like. It looks exactly how it should look. Very, very attractive Arita jar. And this is, again, early, probably done around 1680 or so. It's a nice early one. And always remember that the Arita, as you know, they didn't start making porcelain in Japan, rather, until 1600, 1610, somewhere in that time period, thanks to a Korean potter. And then there's also this. There's some very fine, slightly later pottery. This is by Yohei and Sozan. These are Celadons, beautiful Celadon. The one on the right here is an obvious rendition of the Ming types that were done, because the Chinese shipped a lot of Celadons to Japan because the Japanese loved them. And the potters of the Meiji and the early Taisho period would do this sort of thing. And Yohei and Suzan were very prominent porcelain potters in the country. And these are this is a very nice lot. 2 boxes in that, 2 kogos and in this beautiful vase. The estimate is extremely reasonable, $1,000 to $1,500, $500 opening bid. It should go over that. And then over to this is the Dohachi. Oops. I almost left a bid. Look at that. The Dohachi porcelains. He was a very well-known Seto potter during the Meiji period. This is one of his bowls. Absolutely beautiful work. Absolutely beautiful. A lot of Chinese influence, obviously, but this is Japanese. And on the bottom, there's an extensive inscription, dedication, signature. And then on the right is this underglazed red with lappets and dragons, incense burner. Again, Chinese shape. Very, very, again, you see the Chinese influence on these Japanese porcelains. These are very, very good. And the both of these fellows, Miro Shikusan on the left, he died about, I want to say around 1915 or so. His active period was sort of in the 1880s and 90s and the very beginning of the early 20th century. He was highly regarded. He's in museums all over the world, and so is Dohachi. Another one from roughly that same period. Again, these are really well-known potters, porcelain makers. If you're learning about Japanese stuff and you want to buy some great pieces, these are 2 really good ones. These are very, very good. Estimate at $1,000 to $1,500, $500 opening bid. And then lastly is this Watanabe Setai roosters. Sorry, I had to go back to some animals. This one is a rooster in a garden. Let me see here. A rooster and a hen, actually. Image size is 100. The image is 129 by 10 inches, so it's fairly long. That doesn't look right. That can't be right. It can't be 129. That must be the overall size of the scroll or something. I don't know. Because that can't be 129 inches. That would be 4 feet. It does they got the dimensions off on this. I think it's a fairly standard size scroll, but this is a wonderful one. It's got a rip in it, the split at the bottom. If you collect scrolls, you know that happens a lot. You can get it mended or just get it replaced, get it remounted, or dare I say it, take it off the scroll and frame it. Something you should know, you know, people. I go into houses and I see scrolls just hanging on walls for endlessly. You do not hang a scroll endlessly on a wall. It's really bad for the scroll. In China and Japan, they would take scrolls out for short periods to show them during special occasions, to show them to friends, and then they'd put them back in their boxes, and that's why they survive. Because of the weight of the scroll weight's pulling down on that silk and the paper 24 hours a day, year round, with humidity changes and drying out and all this, just fatigues the silk, and eventually it just falls apart. But if you're going to display it permanently, and if the mount is screwed up, like this is, it's got a tear in it, just get it framed. Frame it right up to the edge of this very, very nice brocade mat, and you have something wonderful to put on a wall. And sometimes a good framer can actually fold it over so that they preserve the rest of the mount, and they can build it right into the frame. They just use a fairly thick frame, and you take the weights out and you set those aside, and then you can just, without cutting it, you can still frame it. And a good framer can do that. If you get a framer that says he can't do it, he's not a very good framer. So anyway, this is a wonderful, wonderful scene, very active and so forth. Let's see here. What's the estimate on this? 1,000 to 1,500 again. And where did this come from anyway? Came out of the J.M. Beer collection in Bethesda, Maryland. No idea who that is. But he had nice scrolls. But there's a lot of good paintings and scrolls in here. There's also some very good Japanese woodblock prints, if you haven't checked those out. It's a pretty diverse sale. And as you can see, there's a lot of things in here in the price ranges that the typical collector can dive into. As many of you probably know, 95% of the Chinese and Japanese and Asian art market are items under 20,000, under 15,000. That's where the bulk of the market really is. We talked yesterday we had a great time talking about the big stuff, the real expensive rarities that all the billionaires chase after, and they're fun to look at. But this is the real Chinese and Asian art market. This is for the every man collector, the every woman collector, people that just like to collect this stuff. And this is a good opportunity to buy some good things. It's between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there's a good diverse range of things, and none of it has insane estimates. But the strategy here would be pick out, all the things that you like, whether it's 5 or 50, and just go through and leave friendly bids on all of them. Do that. And do it through the Freeman site too. Remember, you save 5% on the gross. And it doesn't seem like much until you get the final invoice. You go, oh yeah, the buyer's premium. Oh yeah, I got to get it shipped. An extra 5% sounds pretty good if you spent some money. It's basically, very often when I buy things, that 5% ends up paying for the shipping. It's not a bad deal for me. Any rate, that's all there is. Subscribe if you haven't here. Subscribe, you don't miss any videos, and join us over at Patreon. Remember, the sale is on the 16th of December at 10 o'clock in the morning at Freeman's in Philadelphia. They're on Live Auctioneers and on their website. But I would recommend you go over to Freeman's, register, open an account there. And they also have a rather interesting American decorative art sale coming up on the 7th, before this, that you might want to browse through if you like other stuff. They get some interesting American and European furniture as well. So anyway, this is not a paid ad for Freeman's. I think it's a good company. And I talk about good companies that I like. And that's all there is to it. All right. See you all soon. We'll be back Friday. We're heading up north tomorrow for a few days, and we'll be back late next week. But we're doing a video from up there and doing all the regular stuff. But we need to get up to the house to look. They're doing some work, and some things are going on up there, and got to get a few more things to do. The snow is already flying up there, I should say. We looked at we have a little webcam on the house. We have cameras that we use to monitor things here and up there. And my wife flipped on the cam at the ski house this morning, and there was snow everywhere. There's about 1.5 inches of snow coming down. So it looks like it might be a snowy winter. Oh, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. My grandkids are learning to ski, and I'm trying to get my older children to get up there and ski too. So I'm hoping for some good weather for that. All right. Have a good week, and we'll see you on Friday. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.